Hello, my name is Isiah Thomas, and today I'd like to talk to you about the game of basketball and basketball itself. And we have all these fine young gentlemen behind us to help us demonstrate to you what we're going to talk to you about. We'd like to talk about passing, catching, dribbling, shooting, movement, how you get open on the screen, how do you set your man up coming off the screen, how do you catch the basketball, how do you receive it, and how do you square up and shoot it. We're going to cover transition basketball. We're going to cover fast break basketball. We're going to cover everything. So if you haven't got your popcorn and everything yet, you should probably go out and get some of that and sit back and watch and enjoy. Shooting, dribbling, catching, passing, all that is usually done with the end of your fingertips, not with the palm of your hand. Listen to this sound. Now listen to this sound. This is what you call touch. Like you hear some sports commentators announce, well, this guy has a great touch, he has a great feel. You know, in football, basketball, touch is with your fingertips. Feel is with your fingertips. That's rough and hard. Now, so I'll just go through some drills that I use just to get your fingertips used to the basketball. Now, when I play, I like music, so I like to make music with the basketball. Now, that's just some of the things that you do, that I used to do, just to get yourself acclimated to using and dribbling the basketball. So, we'll give you the new school crossover. New school crossover is here, out, and across. Okay, now put your hand in this crossover lane here. Get down and defend, right? Is that how you would defend me? Okay. So you're going to go here. That's gone. Now, if you want to crossover dribble old school, put your hand in that passing lane, right? So it's here. You can't get it. See? It's up under here. You can't get it. Up under your knees. Now reach in here. Try to get up under there. You see where his hand is at? Now he's all off balance. And 9 times out of 10, he's gonna bump heads with me. Now I got a hard head and I had a lot of cuts on my eyes because people was reaching in there and we would always bump heads. But this protects you from losing that ball. Now you're gone. So, basketball, layup. And if he doesn't play me, then I just keep going. If the defender doesn't stop you, keep going. If he stops you, go the other way. Speed dribble is done in an open court, long distance. Never really use a speed dribble in a half-court situation because it's too dangerous when the ball is away from your body. Only use a speed dribble when there's nobody in front of you and you have to get to point A to point B as quickly as you can. So you want to push it out, run, catch, put it on the floor, and lay it up. Speed dribble in open court. If you catch the ball and there's nobody behind you or there's nobody in front of you, throw it out, run, catch it, lay it up. Just make sure that there's nobody behind you that's faster than you.
Isiah Lord Thomas III was born in 1961 on the west side of Chicago, a harsh neighborhood where delivery trucks and taxi cabs often refused to go.
My mother was a very strong disciplinarian. She didn't necessarily believe in the Dr. Spock method of raising your kids in terms of reasoning. She believed in a strong, heavy hand. And, you know, we were all brought up Catholic, so between her and the Lord, you know, there was heavy guilt from the Lord, and there was a heavy hand from my mother.
From the time he could walk, Isiah Thomas was playing basketball.
Brother Alexis was the 8th grade boys basketball coach, and he would let me go and participate in the layup line with the 8th grade team. And I remember I got kicked off the team in kindergarten. I didn't necessarily get kicked off, but I remember there being this big brouhaha about not allowing me to, you know, participate in the 8th grade layup line because I was too young. And consequently, I just started being the water boy.
In the 8th grade, Isiah tried to win a basketball scholarship to Weber High School, but was rejected because of his height. His team then played in a tournament held at St. Joseph's High School. Gene Pingator, the St. Joseph's basketball coach, was there to see another kid play, but he was impressed by the way Isiah dominated the game.
So the high school coach asked me to come. I went out and I took the entry exam and I passed and they let me in.
At first, it seemed like the pressure, the hours, and the school's strict guidelines would be too much.
There were a lot of times where I would go home and tell my mother that, you know, I just wanted to bag it off. I just wanted to quit. But, you know, she would remind me of all the hard times that she had came through because she grew up in Vicksburg, Mississippi. You know, her father was a slave and my grandfather was a slave. So having a chance to get an education at, you know, an all-white Catholic school, you know, was something that a lot of people had fought very hard for. And she wasn't going to let me give up and she wasn't going to let me quit. Okay, so now we want to talk about shooting and how do you score? How do you put points on the board? Because the name of the game is the team who has the most points at the end of the game wins. So you got to be able to score. Now, on the right side of the court and on the left side of the court, you got to be able to develop your right hand as well as your left hand. So when it comes time to make a layup, if you're on the left side of the court, in your left hand, you got to be able to go to the basket, drive it strong, and finish with your left hand. So, on a left-handed layup, you go 1 in a half. Got it? 1 in a half. Right hand side. Same thing. 1 in a half. The backboard is your friend. So you don't want to come and make a left-handed layup and not use the backboard and just use the rim to kind of guide your ball in. You want to be able to put it right in the center of the square and lay it up so you can score. The mechanics of shooting. Elbow in, and you want to get your hand in a C position. And what I mean by a C position is this. You want from the fingertips to your shoulders to be shaped like a C. And you want to be able to get it in a cocked position so you can extend, follow through, and shoot it. What do you look at when you're shooting a basketball? Some people look at the front of the rim. Some people look at the back of the rim. Some people don't even look at the rim. Some people like to watch the rotation of the ball. Me, myself, I like to look at the front of the rim, and what I always used as a guide was the loops that the net hangs down from. So if I was shooting from the top of the key, I would try to shoot it right over the front of the rim, right over that loop, okay? If I was on the side, I'd find my two loops, and I would try to shoot it right over the front of those two loops. I always use the front of the rim in shooting. Some people shoot off 2 feet. There are 2-foot jump shooters. There are 1-foot jump shooters. If you are a 2-foot jump shooter, right, you catch, square, 3-point threat position, jump, and shoot. You have to practice shooting from every position out on the court. You have to practice from the corner, from the elbow, from the top of the key, because in the course of the basketball game, you're going to get shots from all different spots out on the court. So you have to practice shooting from everywhere out on the court. In the NBA, this is what they call 3-point range. This is around 20, 21, 22 feet. This is 15-foot range. And this is like 12-foot range. Sometimes you may be in a position where you don't necessarily feel right in terms of making this tough shot right here. So you may want a little help, right? You may want to catch it and turn around and bank it from here. So what's the angle on the bank shot, right? The bank shot is squared to the rim, high up on the glass. Okay? Bank shots are like layups. The backboard is your friend. High up on the glass with good rotation. Shoulders, feet facing the rim. Up and in. Now, you're also going to get fouled. And the free throw shot is a totally different shot than the jump shot. A lot of times, when you're shooting a free throw, it's right after you done ran about 5 or 6 sprints to jump up and down, and you're totally out of breath, and somebody says, okay, come shoot a free throw. And then there's some guy in the stands who say, man, how come he can't make a free throw? They don't understand that you may be totally out of breath, and that's why you have to get a rhythm. So what you need to find is a comfortable rhythm at the free throw line, a routine. Some guys like to start at the top of the key, walk to the free throw line, and the referee hand them the basketball. Some guys like to get the basketball, then take a step back and walk in on their own. But it all depends on what is your free throw rhythm. Now, me, myself, I always like to line myself up with my little loop in the front. because that's what I'm going to shoot over. And I want to line my right hand up, since I'm right-handed. I want to line it up right in the loop because I'm going to throw it right in the rim, right over the top of the loop. My rhythm was 3 bounces. Pause, deep breath, shot. Get a rhythm. And shoot. Just as you would shoot your jump shot, you always want to get lined up to the basket, get in your C position, follow through. And if you miss, the coach taking you out of the game.
Coach Ping had to take a player trained on West Side playgrounds and teach him the fundamentals of the organized indoor game.
His way of teaching was that whenever you did something wrong, he'd put you on the bench and make you think about it. And nobody wanted to come out of the game, so consequently you would make the same mistake twice.
At the end of the season, the Chargers faced De La Salle High School for the right to go to the Sweet 16 of the state tournament. It came down to the last shot.
When that kid made that shot from half court to beat us, it was the last second shot. It was like the ending of, high school. It was like the ending of your innocence. I remember Mr. Pingator coming over to my house with like 3 boxes full of letters from like different colleges, where I could go to school at. And I remember my mother and sister, just looking at all the letters and like, Junior's gonna go to college for free and this is great. At that point in time, they didn't care what college it was as long as I was gonna go for free.
Isiah chose Indiana University. It offered a fresh start far away from the ghetto where he was born. Though she would have preferred a school closer to home, Mary Thomas respected Indiana coach Bob Knight.
Basically, my high school coach and Coach Knight and my mother, they're all the same people. They all have the same philosophies about life. They all believe in strong discipline, and they all believe in education. Passing, catching. There are a lot of different kinds of passes that you can use. You use a 2-handed chest pass out on the perimeter of the court, and also when you're advancing the ball up court. And why do we use a 2-handed chest pass? Because A, it gets there quicker, and B, you can fake it. If his man tries to steal the ball, you can always pull it back. So you got 2 hands on the ball. 2-handed chest pass is a step and a throw. Step and a throw. And it's called a chest pass because you're throwing it from your chest and you want it to hit him in his chest. Chest, throw. Chest, throw. We also have a 2-handed overhead pass. It's a step and a throw. So if you're right-handed or left-handed, it doesn't matter. You want to be able to take a step and throw. And you want to put something on that basketball. Step and throw. Step and throw. Right leg and left leg. Now we got a 2-handed bounce pass. And it's also step and throw. Step and throw. Step and throw. And you want that ball to bounce high enough so that guy can catch it and do something with it. So, you don't want to throw him a bounce pass right there. You want that pass to come up right where he can catch it. Now, we also have a 1-handed bounce pass. And this pass is used when you want to get around a defender. So you want to step around and throw it. Step around and throw it. Okay? And you always want to do it right side and left side. Those are your 4 basic passes that you'll need in a half-court setting. Now, a baseball pass is used in the lone court in transition. There are baseball passes up, and I sometimes like to throw a low one. Bounce pass. Okay? 9 times out of 10, when you use a baseball pass, you use it on the fly, long distance. You jump out of bounds, always clear the backboard. Baseball pass over the head, touchdown, Troy Aikman. So red's on offense, white's on defense. On the snap of the ball, we go down. We have a down screen. You set your man up. You come off, and you make a 2-handed pass. Now, as a guard in this position, right, if you got to be able to read this situation happening here, and if the offensive player comes out open, you got to be able to pass him the ball where he can catch it and shoot it. Now, how do you do that? I'm going to hit his inside shoulder. Now, when I hit his inside shoulder, automatically that makes him turn. If I hit his outside shoulder, you see what he has to do with the basketball. It throws him out of position. So if I want this guy to come off, catch, and shoot, I got to be able to put that ball inside so he can turn and shoot the basketball. Now, a lot of guys just get a guy the basketball and say, okay, you do what you want to do with it. But as a point guard, if you want to make it easier on your man, you got to be able to read it and give it to him right in the inside. Snap of the ball. Shot. Now, if there's a defender there, which is what we call the passing lane, if the defender is in the passing lane, then as a point guard, that tells you that he doesn't have a shot because that defender is in the passing lane. So now I got to put that ball on the outside and get it away from the defender. Now, if that defender takes 2 steps up and overplays, now this is when my bounce pass come in. 2-handed bounce pass, right in the gap. 2-handed bounce pass right in the gap. So I got my 2-handed fake chest, bounce right in the gap. My sophomore year, we started off very, very shaky. You know, we started out, I think we lost like 7, 8 games right off the bat.
In December, Knight made Thomas the team captain. He told the sophomore that when it came to inspiration and playmaking, the team was Isiah's to run.
But we regrouped in January, got it together going during the Big Ten, and went into the postseason play, you know, feeling fairly confident that whoever we played, we would beat them.
Indiana blew through the regular season and again won the Big Ten. In the NCAA tournament, the Hoosiers are ranked 3rd in the Mid-East. At one point, Knight shoved a critical fan into a wastebasket. But the Hoosiers easily dispatched Maryland, UAB, St. Joseph's, and LSU to advance to the championship game against North Carolina.
I remember at the start of the second half, you know, North Carolina had ran this play. They had ran it like 2 or 3 times in the first half. And I just waited and said, you know, when it was time, the right, you know, part of the game, if I got my opportunity, I would take a chance and try to get a steal. And once we came out in the second half, the opportunity presented itself, and, I went for it. And consequently, I think I got like 2 or 3 steals in a row, which broke the game open.
Indiana won 63-50. The Hoosier triumph was the product of an outstanding team performance, but after 91 points and 43 assists in 5 tournament games, Isiah was named Most Outstanding Player of the Final Four. Players from poor backgrounds who left college early to enter the NBA were said to be going hardship, taking the money while they had the chance.
We were a true hardship case. The lights were out. We didn't have gas. We didn't have food. Thank God it was turning summertime because the winter, had been brutal for us, for my family, because at that time we had an oil furnace and we couldn't afford to buy oil every month. So consequently, you just went without heat and hot water.
At age 19, Isiah Thomas declared himself eligible for the 1981 NBA draft. With the second pick, the Detroit Pistons took Isiah Thomas.
If you imagine the screen is coming down and you saying to yourself in your mind, I want to get me a 15-foot shot right here, because I've been practicing this 15-foot shot for the last 3 weeks, and I've been doing it 100 times a day. Me, I did about 3,000 times a day. But in a basketball game, you're only going to get 2 of those shots in a 48-minute period. So you may practice 1,000 shots a day, but guess what? You're only going to get 2 times to make that shot. And the first time you miss it, you're going to be sitting right over there on the bench because the coach is going to yank you. Setting your man up is called a V-cut. And the first thing I said is that you need to take a step back so you have room to run. But you also have to make sure you start in the right place so you can take a step back. Because as you can see, if you take a step back, now look at your position. And once you go 1, 2, and let's say you get a back cut, 3, then actually you're too low to do anything under here. And you'll see a lot of times in the NBA, college, high school, where guys will be wide open and they'll catch the ball right in this position. Yeah, he's open, but what are you going to do with it underneath the rim? So it's important that you as an offensive player start right on the box. This box is your best friend. And some of you in high school are probably taking geometry, so you understand that this court is all about geometry. So this box is your best friend. Now, when you take a step back, now look where you're at. Now when you move, now you can catch and do something with the basketball. The angle of the screen is extremely important, right? So, if this is the free throw line, you want to take 1, 2, 3 steps off. Now you got a good angle. And the way to measure that is always put yourself in a screening position where you right inside the rim and the square of the backboard. So you right in line with the corner of it. And you're going to come and screen right on this angle here. Now it's up to the offensive player to get his man in himself in this position so you can come off and get a shot. Okay? Half speed. V-cut, screen, comes off, catch, shot. Here's the key as an offensive player in terms of getting open. When the screen is coming, don't move until the screen starts coming. Remember, it's always better to be a second late than a second early.
1986, Thomas considered retiring after Detroit lost a string of 15 games in a row, but Isiah and the Pistons made it back to the playoffs where they faced the Atlanta Hawks in the first round. The Hawks took 2 of the first 3 games. Game 4 was played at Detroit, and it went into double overtime. Atlanta won by a single point.
And I never forget them dancing on the Silverdome floor, partying, rolling all around, laughing. And I remember just standing there watching their celebration. And I said to myself at that moment, I would never let another team come in our house, my city, my town, and do this again.
In 1987, after their heartbreaking loss to the Hawks, Detroit went 52-30 and plowed its way to a playoff rematch with Atlanta in the Eastern semifinals.
I just remember going into that series, looking at their talent and understanding that they had better talent than we did, but our will and our determination, it just wasn't going to happen. There's no way they were going to beat us.
Detroit took Game 5 against the Hawks to advance to the Eastern Conference Finals, where they faced the defending champion Boston Celtics. Detroit took Game 6 at home to force a final and deciding game on a hot day in Boston Garden with the air conditioning broken. The Celtics outlasted the Pistons and won 117-114. Isiah Thomas and Detroit had come within 3 points of the NBA Finals.
I can speak very candidly and say that night in and night out, we wanted to come out and physically intimidate you. We wanted to come out and physically pound you pretty good. And we wanted you to think about that before the game.
I came up with the phrase of the bad boys.
In 1988, the Pistons finished the season with 54 wins atop the Central Division and plowed their way back to an Eastern Conference rematch with the Boston Celtics.
It's time for these guys to step aside. We're going to the NBA Finals, and they're just a stepping stone in our way.
The series was tied at 2 games apiece when the Pistons rallied from a 56-40 third-quarter deficit to win Game 5 in overtime. The Celtics broke. Detroit won Game 6 and advanced to the NBA Finals against the Lakers, who were led by Isiah's good friend, Irvin Johnson.
I didn't see any of them on television, but I'd imagine that the person who was watching on television could reach and touch the TV and get like a little vibe, you know, like, ooh.
In Game 6, Isiah sprained an ankle but scored a finals record 25 points in the third quarter as the Pistons lost to the Lakers by a single point. With a bruised back, an injured knee, a dislocated finger, and a jabbed eye to go with his sprained ankle, Thomas spent the next 2 days in rehab.
And now that you're there and all the people who were doubting you, and you finally have a chance to put the nail in the coffin, and you can't do it because you're injured.
The Pistons led Game 7 at halftime, but the Lakers edged ahead in the second half to win 108-105 and claim their second straight NBA title.
When plan A doesn't work, then you go to plan B. So let's walk through the down screen again, and you come off, and this time the defender does a good job, trails the screen, pushes him out, and you're not open. Okay? Okay, now come all the way out, catch it there. Now what do? As I said, everything in basketball is based on reaction. Now, what tells you which way you're going to drive the basketball to get somebody else a shot is the way the postman is being played. Let me show you. You're here, and if this defender isn't up close enough on me, because I've been practicing my shot, I've shot 1,000, 20,000 shots a day. If he doesn't get close enough on me, hey, guess what? I've been practicing. Mom, my J is on. Everything is straight. I'm in perfect state. You know, that's 2 points. You have to work at every phase of the game to make this defender have to honor every part of your game. He has to honor my shot. He has to honor my drive. He has to honor my fakes. Now, he won't honor your shot or your drive or your fakes if he know you can't shoot. Now, if you can't shoot and you faking shooting, are you gonna go for the fake? I know I wouldn't. So he knows that I can shoot a little bit. So therefore, when I get in his stance, right, and I'm reading his foot position, that's what you want to read as a defender. As an offensive player, you want to catch, pivot. I see my post. I automatically know my read. I know where he's at. Now I'm looking at his foot position, right? Now, I see his stance is open, right? This is open. He is giving me a lane. He is giving me a seam. So, I'm greedy. I'm gonna take the seam. So, I'll use my rocker and go. One. Now I'm by him. Now I'm in the seam. I got an offensive player there that if his offensive man comes and help, I can kick to him for a shot. Or I'm right here for a shot. And if the defender from the center comes up, now I got an easy drop down layup. First thing you want to do is read his foot position, right? And now he's really set up for the rocker step, because now I know I'm gonna attack this leg right here, because there's no way when I jab and go, the first thing that he's gonna have to do as a defender is he's gonna have to move and open up. Now when he opens that leg up, I'm gone. Let's say I got Hakeem Olajuwon down in the post and he real hot. And Mutombo is playing on the high side still. And my coach has said, give it to Hakeem. Give it to Hakeem. So this is where I fake, I go left, I take a little easy drop pass right there on the baseline, send Hakeem right to his dunk shot. Now in the pros, and this drives me crazy about a lot of point guards, because a lot of guards, they'll see this pass here and they'll do this. But you know what you just did to that post man? You just made him real mad, because you pulled him out of position with this pass right here. Now he has to go out there and catch it, and now he's got to do this one-on-one thing, and as a guard, you haven't helped him at all. If anything, you've just made him real mad and put him in a position that if he's not Hakeem Olajuwon, he's not going to score. So you want to be able to take this basketball, drive it hard, and make that drop pass to the baseline for a score. Now, you can also drive it hard, and guess what? You can keep going, because that's a screen. And this is a layup. Basketball is a game of action and reaction. You got to understand where you're at on the court, and you got to be able to help your teammates.
As they came into Los Angeles for a finals rematch with the Lakers in 1989, the Pistons' attitude was somewhat different from the year before.
We're from Detroit, and we're coming here to win, and that's the bottom line.
Detroit won the first game by 12 points. Magic Johnson hobbled off the court in Game 2 with a strained hamstring, and the Pistons won again.
They didn't have a chance. They had a better chance of seeing God than beating us that year.
The Pistons swept the demoralized Lakers in 4 straight games to win their first NBA championship.
Getting there and winning it just wasn't good enough. Now you had to really establish yourself and carve out some more turf on top of the mountain. So, yeah, you fought hard and now you can put your flag down, but until you were able to put another flag down by you being a new kid on the block, who was going to believe you? It was a fluke, right?
In one stretch during the 1989-90 season, the Detroit Pistons won 29 and lost only 1. They were the most feared team in the league.
We were hoping for a rematch and a showdown with LA that whole year, and when they didn't make it, I was a little disappointed.
The Pistons instead faced the Portland Trail Blazers, who had stunned the NBA by winning the Western Conference crown. The Pistons came back from a 10-point deficit to win Game 1, but the Trailblazers won Game 2 in overtime, and the series was now headed to Portland.
Now, the significance of the loss was this. Our organization, in 17 years, not just during my tenure, had never won a game in the Portland Coliseum.
Pistons blew out the Trailblazers by 15. With the Portland jinx shattered, Detroit took games 4 and 5 to win their second consecutive NBA crown.
You know, again, after the second championship, you know, I wanted to carve out a bigger piece of turf because Magic hadn't won 3 in a row. Bird hadn't won 2 in a row. So I wanted to be the first guy out of the group to win 3 in a row. So, now that we're in the half court, notice where everybody's at, okay? Now, when the ball is on this side of the court, ball's on the left side of the court. How do you know it's on the left side of the court? Because when you, as a defender, look down at the other end of the basket, you will see that this guy is on the left side of the court because he splits the front of the rim. You always want to be able to be close enough to your man that you can touch him. If you're not close enough to touch, you're too far away. Also, in being close enough to touch, you don't allow the offensive player to get up a whole lot of steam and a lot of room to move and maneuver. So in order for that offensive player to move or maneuver, he's got to go back. And then going back, you've accomplished your job as a defender. But if you're not close enough to touch, and you one step back, now I can attack. One step back, attack. Close enough to touch, I got to step back. Those are the keys. And now what does ball you man mean? When you off of the ball, and we'll put the ball here. As a defender, in your mind, you always are thinking, ball, you, man. You have to always be in a position where you can point. You can see your man, and you can see the ball. This is what they call peripheral. So you can stand here and look straight this way, and you can see the ball, and you can see the man. And your head is on a swivel. So your head is positioned here, here, and you're always looking. But you can stand in this position and see ball, you, man. If you're guarding this man and you back here, then basically what you're giving this offensive player is an easy shot and an easy catch. As a defender, you want no easy shots and no easy catches. So when the ball is there, you want to be one step off your man, and you can see ball, you, man. That is called weak side defense. When you are off of the ball. Strong side means that you're closer to the ball. So strong side defense is same thing, ball, you, man, but in a much tighter position. So as opposed to being a step away, now you want that step closed. Now, inside players, on the post, same rules apply. Ball, you, man. Strong side, close down, forearm in the chest, close enough to touch. Weak side is one step off, ball, you, man. When that ball is on the wing, now you 2 steps away from your man. 1, 2. Ball, you, man. Ball, you, man. Swing it back. Now we're swinging to the other side. Let him catch it. Close enough to touch. 2 steps off. Jump to the ball. Same rules apply. So we got on the ball defense, close enough to touch, right, in your defensive stance. We got a close down position there. Weak side defense. If I wanted to make this pass here, it's a steal. Okay? If I wanted to make this pass here, it's a steal. Ball pressure.
Isiah sat out 30 games the next season after surgery on his eyes and wrist, and the team seemed to have lost their sense of purpose.
When you're in the jungle and you got a broken leg and you can't get out, the lion's gonna eat you.
For 2 years, Isiah Thomas and the Detroit Pistons had played mind games with Michael Jordan and the Bulls, but now with the Pistons flagging, Jordan saw his opportunity.
And I remember getting ready to block him out, standing at the free throw line, and I looked in his eyes and I seen the look that I used to have, and it scared the life out of me because I knew that that type of force, that type of commitment, and that type of will combined with his talent, only thing you can do is just move out of the way.
The next year, the Pistons finished 48-34 and were eliminated in the first round of the postseason by the New York Knicks. The year after that, the Pistons didn't make the playoffs at all.
The 2 stakes that you had put at the top of the mountain that you could be mentioned in the same breath as the others, once we lost our identity and what we were about, it's as if they took the 2 flags, brought them down from the top of the mountain, and it ain't been there since.
On May 22nd, 1994, Isiah Thomas formally announced what everybody already knew. After 39,950 game minutes, he would never again play professional basketball.
This generation looks at the NBA as the final stop. It's as if when you're done playing basketball now in the NBA at age 32, 33, or whatever age you are, they seem to think that you can just kick back and go lay on the beach and, you know, life stops. Whereas we always wanted more out of life than just being an NBA basketball player. That was nice, that was great. It still is nice and that's great, but if that's all you got to show for the opportunity that you have is that you're an NBA basketball player, to me, you've squandered away a wonderful opportunity. This is a game that you really got to have a lot of fun with. If you don't love this game, then you're not going to practice this game. And once you love this game, practice won't necessarily be practice to you. It'll be a lot of fun. So I hope you've had a good time here today. I hope you've learned a lot. And we look forward to talking to you soon and watching you put on your NBA jersey and all that other stuff. Thanks.